Kevin Durant. He shared the court with his new teammates. This sounds crazy to say. Draymond Green and Klay Thompson as members of the U.S. Olympic team on Monday. Durant discussing how much Russell Westbrook's play influenced his decision.
No, it wasn't. I mean, obviously, coming out now I'm gone. All these reports are going to come out, but I can't really control it, but I just made a decision based on, where I want to go, man. It was simple as that. We can, think about, all the reasons and the factors, what factored in, but it's just simple. That's why I wanted to play basketball.
Have you and Russ got to talk?
No, not really, not in depth, but I'm sure that'll happen at some point.
I hear Ramona Shelbourne's voice. Yeah. She does a good job
for those basketballs. I can't hear anything.
Coach, does Durant owe Westbrook an explanation?
I've been on record as saying what I had to
and the throat clearing.
Yeah, I had to get ready. As saying that I believe that Kevin Durant is such a special talent that when you're in the rarefied air that Kevin Durant lives in and has been blessed with, then you have a duty and a responsibility to keep whatever competitive power there is in the NBA the way that it should be. So I hated the fact that he decided to go to Golden State. With that being said, that's a different discussion. What this discussion is about is imagine if you and I, 6 days a week, Max and the coach, and all of a sudden I decided to go somewhere else, do something else, and I didn't call you. I didn't have the decency to say, hey, Max, this is what I'm thinking about doing.
Happens all the time.
It does happen. Doesn't mean that it's right.
No.
It's, as somebody else on the show likes to say, so disrespectful.
It is.
Because you're talking about the greatest 1-2 punch in the NBA in the last 5 to 10 years. These two guys average 25 to 30 points a game. We've seen what they can do individually, but together they were dynamic and one game away from the NBA Finals again. And to not even have a conversation, to not even pick up the phone at any point when he's meeting with 6 different teams, to talk to your guy, your point guard, and then to say on record that the way he played had nothing to do with the fact that I wanted to leave town, the two things don't match up. He 100% owed him a phone call. He still owes him a phone call.
I think it'd be nice to give him that phone call. He doesn't owe him that. I think a lot of time, look, in perfect world, you'd like to see it. I think he knows he's making a huge decision, and he said it in some of the things that he referred to, that I was worried about going out because I don't know how the reaction was going to be in Oklahoma City. So he had to keep it very incubated, and I understand that. That doesn't mean he can't reach out to Russell Westbrook, but maybe he doesn't want to hear what Russell Westbrook has to say. Maybe he doesn't want to hear that he could probably lure him and convince him to stay here. He had to make the decision based on his own laurels. He had to make that decision on what he's heard from people outside of that situation as best he could. The style of play that Russell Westbrook has, he says that's not part of the reason that he left. So at least we know that. So with what we heard here, although it wasn't very good because it was at the gym and a lot of basketballs being dribbled and lots of noise on the outside, we didn't get the clearest thing. But they didn't really talk about anything at all. It doesn't mean they won't talk at some point, but he has to make this decision. He has been very secretive. He is, for obvious reasons, because this is the biggest decision of his career. So Russell Westbrook, I imagine that's going to come on the back end. If you left me after 6 days, you didn't call me, that'd be a little different because at this point we finish each other's sentences. We're again so far. May not be the exact comparison, but I think they'll have that. But at this point, the decision was paramount, and he made that first.
If we're supposed to believe him that he crossed every T, dotted every I, and he put everything out in front of him as best that he could, then not having this conversation with Russell Westbrook, he did not do that for Oklahoma City because he owed it to the team, to the franchise that has made him who he is today, to say, what would the future look like in Oklahoma City? And one of the big components to him staying would be if he knew that Russell Westbrook was going to stay also for an extended period of time. If you don't talk to him, you have no idea where his head is at. So to me, Oklahoma City was never in the equation if he didn't talk to Russell Westbrook.
That is very fair. And with regard, maybe he looks at Russell Westbrook as part of the paradigm of Oklahoma City. And we saw it with LeBron James when he left Cleveland. Once he left, he became the enemy. And I don't think it's been that much vitriol from Oklahoma City to Durant. They still respect him and they appreciate what he did. But he probably looked at that and he realized this is a huge decision. This is going to change everything, the image I have in Oklahoma City. Russell Westbrook is part of that. I'm going to make the cut, and then I'm going to take care of business, settle in my new surroundings, and then if I have to clear the air, I will do it then.
Does this not reek of everything opposite what we've thought about Kevin Durant for the first decade of his career.
It's a crazy business
Well,
now,
we think
with
about
the money and everything we've heard.
Here's the thing. This is what makes me think of, and this might be a bad example, but the Kelly Ripa and Michael Strahan. Now, this is a business, right? We're all a part of a business. So there's certain things we have to keep confidential, or I like to say private, until it's shared through the proper channels.
Sure.
So in terms of business, you have to keep it close to the vest. You're negotiating. You can't share all the details. I might love you to death, Coach, but I can't share it with you yet until, you know, I've signed the dotted line. But with that being said, once that decision is made, you can let Westbrook know first before you're letting the public know. And I know nothing about the Kelly Ripa Strahan situation, not close to it at all whatsoever, but supposedly that was the beef. So I can let you know first and then let it go public. So what that shows me, which everybody said all along, they're not that tight.
Nope.
Exactly.
Abundantly clear.
This is a true story. So when Brock Lesnar announced that he was going to UFC 200, I have a very good relationship with the WWE. 7 text messages, 3 phone calls. I got nothing back. Now, after the fact, I find out that they had promised Dana White they would not say anything until the announcement was made. I said I need to be armed with the information on how he was allowed to fight in the UFC when he was under WWE contract. I needed to know, not to break the story, but to be educated on when the time came. Kevin Durant should have been educated, and this was a big piece of that puzzle. I think you're spot on. They're not as tight as we want to believe they were, even though there's this dynamic duo.
I like what you bring up about personal situations, as you did. You know, I left Fox, I came to ESPN. When I did that, you know, I severed a lot of cables. I've been able to fix those in the back end. When we do that, things change. I've left representation I've had in this business, guys I'm very close with, and when that happens, no phone calls, no nothing, it stops. It doesn't mean you don't think any less of them, but in this situation, this business, whatever it might be, that's the reality of it. And it's cold-blooded sometimes, but that's the way it goes.
It's 100% cold-blooded. But this, to me, supersedes all of that. That goes above all of that. We're talking about 2 of the 5 greatest players in the NBA today. And to not have a phone call, to me, is almost unforgivable if I am Westbrook.
Life goes on.
Yeah, and again, speculation here with the examples we gave, because we don't know like the actual true details. But I'm fine with him making his decision, that kind of thing. But so did he find out about this publicly, like everybody else? That's what I just want to be clear about.
And if he did, you mean Westbrook?
Yeah.
If he did, I think that would have been a very tough pill to swallow. And I think I would have loved to have seen the reaction, the real reaction when he found out. Because if he found out like everybody else on ESPN, then to me, that's even worse than before.
There's probably something else at play here, but clearly there's a detachment between these two. We saw the warm, cuddly moments where they stood up for each other during the playoffs, which was nice. But for the bigger portion of their career together, they were not aligned. They were not in symphony.
No.
So, and this is clearly evidence of that.
Yeah, clearly this was a business decision. All right, moving on, though, another business decision ahead of us. Just like Kevin Durant this year, Russell Westbrook can leave OKC a year from now, and the Thunder would get this, nothing in return. According to Anthony Slater of the Oklahoman, Westbrook has given the Thunder no indication that he currently wants out, and one source described him as ticked off about the KD departure. He's focused for this new challenge and eager for the start of the season. Max, what should Westbrook do now?
Here's a chance to be the knight in shining armor for Russell Westbrook, because we talk about Durant and Westbrook and we forget who's in the middle. This franchise, which was a win away from the NBA Finals, potentially winning the NBA Finals if you listen to Andre Iguodala. And here's a team that could be teared to shreds because of what happened first with Durant. They're already in a bad position with that. But now Russell Westbrook comes in. He's from L.A. Hey, I'm from L.A. If I was at his level, I'd love to be a Laker. I'd love to play there. Maybe the Celtics are a team you can do in there. Hey, you go to the Eastern Conference, you become that second big star in the East, get away from all those superstars in the Western Conference. But at Oklahoma City, you get to be that hero. You get to be that hero that we've seen has worked so well with LeBron James when he came back to Cleveland and won that. It's positive that he has said, I haven't made a decision on it yet. He hasn't ruled out Oklahoma City. But I think not only can he be the hero there, there's enough at Oklahoma City where he can be a player. Who knows what they do with this Durant money? Maybe they can
be a player?
They could be a player.
The player.
He could be a player, but they could be a player in the Western Conference.
I see.
The supporting cast is good. They've done well. We saw them in the postseason with Steven Adams. Now they have Victor Oladipo coming in, but there's some really good pieces there with him as a centerpiece. You need another guy there. It's not going to be a Kevin Durant, but this could be salvageable in some way, and he could be that hero. That's two good reasons to stay.
The reason I love Russell Westbrook so much is that he is an emotional beast. He's a lion, heart of a lion. And he's a guy that a couple of years ago when Kevin Durant had the injury issues, who was the guy that went out there every single night seemingly with an endless amount of energy, getting triple-doubles night after night after night, almost getting the team single-handedly into the playoffs. If I'm him, I have to look at it and say, yeah, I'm ticked off. I can be the guy that you can build your franchise around. Now, maybe it's because I was born and raised in the Midwest. Maybe I was 2 hours away from Oklahoma City. But it's a great city to play in. Playing in Oklahoma where you are the show. It is the Sooners, 20 miles away, and then it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's it. To me, that's very conducive to wanting to be great. That's why I was shocked when KD decided to leave. And if I'm Russell Westbrook, and I'm looking at all of my options, I don't want to go to L.A. and lose. I don't want to go to L.A. just to say I can play at the Staples Center if I'm going to turn into the last 2 or 3 years for Kobe Bryant.
They might be good in a couple years.
Okay, you just made my point for me. They might be good in a couple of years. But I agree with the fact he should be ticked off. And when he gets ticked off and he's angry, boy, does he play great. And that's the kind of guy that I want. I want a guy that comes up every single night and wants to step on your throat. And for me, as much as I love Kevin Durant, his decision made me believe that he's not that kind of a player, and he's never going to be that kind of a player.
Says he's ready for the challenge. What bigger challenge than to pick up this franchise? It's in a really tough spot. And all this time, and we saw the community outreach from Kevin Durant, we said this guy is aligned with Oklahoma City. This is the hero of the city. Well, he's no longer in Oklahoma City. We always thought Russell Westbrook would be the guy to go.
When you leave a city like, you're right, when you leave a city like L.A. or New York and there's so many other things going on, people aren't as upset or they don't hang on to it for a long time. This is going to sit.
Of course, any quote-unquote smaller market.
Right. And I asked you the other day, we need to keep checking on his restaurant, Molly, because there's no way it stays in business because these people take this personally. They do, and they should. They put their time, effort, love, heart, soul into this guy. That's how Russell Westbrook plays. That's why, to me, they're a perfect match. And I don't care what the other options are. He's a perfect match for them.
I know you guys want him to stay, but if he was to leave, what do you think's the best fit for him right now?
I like the Lakers.
Don't say it. Don't say
I like the Lakers fit.
Don't say it.
You've got.
Is this because you love L.A.?
Well, I just love.
Take out that he wants to play there. Take out that he wants to play there. Where's really the best place for him to go?
The Los Angeles Lakers. I think he's got some good young players that he could mold. He could be the guy who leads it. This is a team on the up and up. So I think we've seen. I know it's summer league. We've seen some sparks out of D'Angelo Russell. All signs, Brandon Ingram. We saw it this year in college. He has that big man ability that I think Russell Westbrook could be in good tandem.
Say that again. I want to make sure we have that on record, Molly. He literally just said, this is a team on the up and up. With
Russell Westbrook, they certainly would. Where do you go outside of Golden State and Cleveland? It's a no-win situation now. Patience and time is on your side. Spurs is obviously a very good option. I don't know. I mean,
are they a team that's on the up and up?
Celtics.
I don't know. Yeah, I like when you have two guys. I like when you have two guys calling the shots as star players. He would be one of a three-way with Aldridge and Kawhi Leonard. I think that could be a little congested for that. So that's just why I don't think that's the ideal position. Patience here is a good spot for Russell Westbrook. You want to be in L.A., that is a big positive, and you're playing with a nice young group. I think it could end well.
You bring up Boston, and the thing about Brad Stevens that a lot of people don't realize, he's very much a player's coach. And he proved it at Butler, getting the absolute most out of the talent from his squad there in college. And now that one of the best things that he did was sign that long-term contract, so he didn't have to worry about getting fired 2 years in. He signed a 6-year deal. So now if you get a Russell Westbrook to lead what is a hungry young squad with Al Horford now inside, that's not he's not a player that needs the ball a lot, but he can certainly score 15 to 20 points a game. Horford, yeah. I think that would be a terrific fit for Westbrook.
So let's be honest.
That's
I mean,
huge.
obviously, we know Cleveland's there, but I'm just saying in terms of getting there.
You'd become the second-best team just like that. And you'd be in a city that loves their sports stars.
Of course.
Like I said, I was there last night. You see it. You feel it. You feel the love radiating from them onto you. Wow, I think that'd be a really, really
What
cool
happens
fit.
to a guy Isaiah Thomas? Would there be probably not room for him in that group for the Boston Celtics? So you take a little bit of a step back. I don't know. I mean, that's a crowded backcourt. You got Avery Bradley as well in there. Who gets to play on that
Last time I
Celtics
checked, you
team?
got to have 3 or 4.
Let me throw one more angle at you. I asked you what was the best fit. If he wants a ring, what is the best fit? Where does he go? And he wants a ring.
If he wants
ASAP.
a ring, find a way to become a Cavalier. But I think realistically is the Spurs
the Warriors.
find a way to be. But obviously that's an impossibility. I think the Spurs is probably for an immediate chance the best, but I don't think it's a great chance. I think it's a better chance than most. But I err on the side of finding somewhere you can grow with that team.
Best chance, you stay in Oklahoma City. They've got a lot of still nice young talent, and we forget they made that team better with the trade before KD decided to leave. They're not that bad of a team. Not as good without him, but to me, for him, that's the best option I believe he has to try and win a championship.
So you're both Team OKC right now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys that work for him on that team. They'll say, we'll do the dirty work for you. We'll clean up some messes here. We'll get you second, third shots if we can.
Nick Collison.
And that is a real positive for a guy like Russell Westbrook. But then again, they're going to take a dip. Still a good playoff team, a 4-5 team in the West.
All right, we'll leave it there. Coming up next.